Joining us now is Peter Beck, Rocket Lab's founder and CEO, live from Auckland, New Zealand. Let's start there, Peter. Why buy Iridium and why now?
Yeah, it's great to talk to you. But look, I think it's become pretty obvious, and we've talked about it for quite some time, that the really large space companies of the future are going to be a little bit blurry about what a space company even is. And, you know, Rocket Lab today, we're the second most frequently launched rocket, and we have a large spacecraft business and components business. But really the third leg of the stool was always an application. And by combining Rocket Lab and Iridium together, we really make that complete picture. And what that essentially means is we are a self-launching company. And I think if you look at other companies that have their own rockets and can build their own satellites, it's a pretty powerful combination.
I think, very early this morning, people got very quickly to this deeper level of vertical integration. The basics of it, there's also the idea of spectrum, right? So Iridium has valuable but a limited source of spectrum. Can you just quantify that for us, how much spectrum you get access to, and kind of like how you leverage that to Rocket Lab's advantage?
Yeah, look, you're exactly right. I mean, you can have all the spacecraft and all the rockets in the hangars you want, but if you don't have the spectrum to actually utilize them, especially for communications, then it's all for nothing. And the very unique thing about Iridium spectrum is that it's L-band spectrum. So, L-band is particularly effective in those very difficult and harsh conditions. So not surprisingly, Iridium has built a very, very strong business for, servicing safety critical things and the defense, the defense network. So, this obviously enables us to build on this. It's a very established and profitable, business to date. But, the spectrum is an incredibly valuable asset for sure.
Peter, going forward, does Rocket Lab just more generally become a buyer of spectrum and an acquirer of assets that give you access to more spectrum?
No, not at all. I mean, this spectrum gives us a fantastic, baseline and head start. If you think about the opposite, we've always said we want to do an application that would take years and years and years to first, build the constellations of satellites, deploy them, and then of course, that's before you even see your first dollar of revenue. So this really supercharges, our kind of interest into applications, and it's a wonderful business to build upon. But our intention here is to leverage the spectrum and what Iridium have built to provide a whole bunch of new services.
Okay, so we have launch, we have satellite manufacturing, and now communications. One of the questions I got from the audience is for you, Peter, is how do you take Iridium's technology and improve it? They themselves have been very focused on chips, right, and their own custom electronics. What can you do to kind of make best use of it, but also make them better?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I think, just the economics alone and the synergies alone, when you have, control over the most expensive and the most longest lead time items being launched in spacecraft manufacture, I think that just puts, that level of vertical integration just puts everybody into a totally different league. So, instead of scratching out business plans on a whiteboard where you have to spend billions of dollars on launch and spacecraft manufacturing, when all of a sudden those costs evaporate, your ability to innovate and execute different business plans becomes, vastly superior.
Let's talk about the economics real quick. Is debt going to play a role in financing this?
Yeah, initially for sure. Rocket Lab is a very strong balance sheet, and Iridium historically has had some debt, but of course it's throwing off a lot of cash to service it. But we have a debt bridge that we intend to take out.
I get a lot of questions for you about Neutron, next gen launch system that you're working on. I think one reason we get a lot of questions from the audience now about Neutron is that people want you to kind of explain how dependent this future business line is on Neutron, constellation-based connectivity.
Look, I mean, the Achilles heel in space applications and space infrastructure right now is launch. Launch is an incredibly valuable and rare asset. And, as I mentioned before, we launched the Electron rocket, which is the second most frequently launched rocket in the world. And Neutron's coming online by the end of the year. And, luckily, also, the Iridium constellation, it's a relatively fresh constellation, so it doesn't require immediate launch. There's a number of years left in that constellation, or over a decade. So we've got a little bit of time to refresh the constellation. But, I mean, we can throw stuff up with either Electron or Neutron to experiment and develop new technologies almost immediately.
Okay, the big question. Is Rocket Lab developing the sort of mega-scale constellation specifically to take on SpaceX, Amazon, AST, not just direct-to-cell, satellite-based internet connectivity, etc.?
Well, certainly, Iridium has a direct-to-device, system and plan that they're rolling out later on this year. Look, this is the very beginning for us. This is our first foray into applications. We've talked about it for a long time. And I think this is a very smart deal where, we're not acquiring a field of dreams and starting from scratch. We are, acquiring a very valuable spectrum, a profitable business, and, it's a very typical smart Rocket Lab deal. But, our clear intention here is to not stop at this acquisition and continue to grow for sure.
A lot of folks this morning have kind of pointed the idea that, Starlink has a lead in terms of bandwidth, speed, latency. So I think people would love to just hear you be very granular and specific about the niches that you can go after, what you see as the total addressable market, but also like definition of that total addressable market that Rocket Lab is like zeroed in on, as opposed to like going after all of it. Yeah,
look, I mean, to your point before, spectrum is key, and this spectrum, the L-band spectrum, is very, very unique in the fact that it's unaffected by weather and harsh conditions. And as a result, this L-band spectrum is widely used in all the safety critical stuff you would imagine, whether it be mariners, pilots, defence forces. I mean, I'm myself personally, a user of the Iridium network. I'm a helicopter pilot when I get like 10 minutes of my own time, and there's a little thing on the top of my dash with an Iridium logo that I push the button that I know if I have a super bad day and end up in the bushes, someone's going to come and get me for sure. So our focus initially is on maintaining that super important constellation. I mean, it is completely global. So no matter where you are on the planet, air, sea, land, wherever, you are connected. And that's something that really only Iridium has.
Two final quick questions. I guess that given the landscape, the regulatory risk on this, you guys feel confident that this deal will close and that it will get done?
Yeah, no, I think from a regulatory standpoint, this is pretty straightforward. I mean, it's a very strong deal and not controversial at all.
And then just for 2026, the balance of this year, next year, has Rocket Lab got a refreshed launch target for what we could see on Electron and then Neutron in aggregate?
Yeah, look, certainly Electron is launching crazy flat out. We just broke the world record for the fastest time that someone calls up a rocket and launches. So we did that in 16 hours, 42 minutes for the Space Force. And Neutron comes online by the end of the year.